This is the truth about success no one wants to accept. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They don't fail because they lack intelligence. They don't even fail because they lack opportunity. They fail because they refuse to accept the truth. And the truth is uncomfortable. The truth strips away excuses. The truth demands responsibility. The truth exposes the quiet decisions you make when no one is watching. The truth about success, the one no one wants to accept, is that it is not fair, not fast, and not forgiving. It doesn't care how badly you want it. It doesn't care how hard your past was. It doesn't care how much potential you think you have. Success responds only to what you consistently do, and who you consistently choose to be. Most people want the reward without the requirement. They want the victory without the discipline. They want the outcome without the identity shift. And that is why they stay exactly where they are. Because success is not something you chase. It's something you align with. And alignment begins when you stop lying to yourself. You don't lack time. You lack priorities. You don't lack confidence. You lack proof you've earned it. You don't lack motivation. You lack a reason that's stronger than your comfort. Comfort is the real enemy. Not failure. Not fear. Comfort. Comfort whispers, you deserve a break. Comfort says, you've done enough. Comfort convinces you that tomorrow is guaranteed. But comfort is a thief. It steals your edge. It dulls your hunger. It convinces you that average is acceptable. And once average becomes acceptable, greatness becomes impossible. Here's the truth no one posts online. Success will demand more from you than you think is reasonable. It will demand sacrifice before it offers reward. It will test your patience, your ego, your pride, and your consistency. And most people quit, not because they can't handle success, but because they can't handle the process that creates it. The process is lonely. The process is repetitive. The process is boring to people addicted to stimulation. Success is built in obscurity. In the early mornings when no one applauds. In the late nights when no one notices. In the seasons where effort goes unrewarded and progress feels invisible. This is where people break. Not because they're weak, but because they expected something different. They expected it to feel good. They expected validation. They expected clarity before commitment. But clarity comes after commitment. You don't wake up one day confident. You earn confidence by keeping promises to yourself. You don't suddenly discover discipline. You build discipline by doing what you said you would do, especially when you don't feel like it. You don't stumble into purpose. You create it by choosing meaning over comfort. This is the truth. Success is not about intensity. It's about identity. Who you believe you are determines what you tolerate. What you tolerate determines your habits. Your habits determine your future. Most people want to change their results without changing their standards. They want a better life but keep the same excuses. They want a higher level but refuse to let go of the version of themselves that keeps them stuck. You cannot build a new future with an old identity. At some point, if you want to win, you must disappoint your past self. You must let go of the habits that feel familiar but keep you small. You must release the story that explains your limitations. Not because it isn't true, but because it's no longer useful. Because success doesn't ask, is this fair? It asks, are you committed? And commitment is rare. Commitment means you show up even when motivation disappears. Commitment means you train when no one is watching. Commitment means you choose growth when quitting would be easy to explain. Commitment means you stop negotiating with weakness. Most people negotiate every day. They negotiate with alarms. They negotiate with standards. They negotiate with discomfort. And every negotiation reinforces a belief: I don't have to follow through. That belief compounds. Quietly. Relentlessly. Until one day they look up and wonder why their life feels smaller than their potential. Here is the hard truth: no one is coming to save you. No one is coming to push you. No one is coming to hold you accountable. And once you accept that, not with bitterness, but with ownership, everything changes. Because ownership is power. The moment you stop blaming circumstances, you gain control. The moment you stop waiting for permission, you gain momentum. The moment you stop outsourcing responsibility, you step into authority over your life. And that authority demands something of you. It demands discipline over emotion. It demands consistency over excitement. It demands action over intention. This is where most people turn away. Because discipline isn't glamorous. It doesn't trend. It doesn't go viral. Discipline is quiet. It's repetitive. It's lonely. And it works. Success is built by people who are willing to be misunderstood in the short term to be undeniable in the long term. People who are willing to look foolish while learning. People who are willing to be patient while others rush. People who are willing to delay gratification while others chase pleasure. This is the truth no one wants to accept. If you want a life few people have, you must be willing to live like few people are willing to live. And that means embracing discomfort as the price of admission. Not all discomfort is bad. Some discomfort is growth knocking at your door. Some discomfort is your old identity resisting evolution. Some discomfort is the signal that you're finally moving in the right direction. Avoiding discomfort doesn't protect you. It imprisons you. Because the pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. And regret doesn't scream. It whispers. It shows up late at night. It shows up when you see someone else living the life you were capable of. It shows up when time runs out and excuses no longer matter. Success asks one brutal question every day. Did you do what you said you would do? Not once. Not when it's convenient. But consistently. Because consistency is the real secret. Small actions, done daily, with conviction, outperform massive bursts of effort fueled by emotion. Success doesn't come from doing extraordinary things once. It comes from doing ordinary things extraordinarily well, over and over and over again. And this is where belief either carries you forward, or drags you back. If you believe effort should be rewarded immediately, you'll quit early. If you believe struggle means failure, you'll retreat at resistance. If you believe success should feel easy, you'll abandon the process. But if you believe growth requires pressure, if you believe discipline is freedom, if you believe you are capable of more than your current results, then everything shifts. Because belief determines interpretation. And interpretation determines persistence. And persistence, relentless, grounded, disciplined persistence, is what success ultimately bows to. Not talent. Not luck. Not wishful thinking. Persistence. And persistence is not loud. It's patient. It's rooted. It's unshakable. It's the quiet decision to keep going when stopping would be easy to justify. And that decision, repeated enough times, changes everything. Because once you understand that persistence is the real currency of success, you stop chasing shortcuts. You stop looking for hacks. You stop asking how to get there faster and start asking how to become stronger. You realize that the long road isn't a flaw in the design, it is the design. Every great builder understood this. Edison didn't stumble into the light bulb, he earned it through thousands of failures that refined his belief. Carnegie didn't wake up powerful, He became powerful by mastering patience, leverage, and endurance. Lincoln didn't rise because he was untouched by loss, he rose because loss shaped him without breaking him. They didn't succeed despite hardship. They succeeded because they let hardship sharpen them. That is the truth most people avoid. Adversity is not in the way. It is the way. But only if you use it. Most people let adversity define them. They wear it like a label. They turn pain into personality. They replay the story of what happened instead of rewriting the story of who they're becoming. And every time they do, they reinforce a belief that keeps them stuck in the past. Success requires a different relationship with pain. Pain becomes information. Pressure becomes training. Failure becomes feedback. And when you adopt that mindset, you stop fearing the hard moments. You start expecting them. You understand that resistance is not a signal to stop, it's a signal you're close to something meaningful. Because nothing valuable comes without friction. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Steel is forged in fire. And character is built in moments where quitting would make sense, but continuing builds strength. This is where emotional mastery becomes essential. If your emotions control your actions, your results will always be unstable. You'll work when you feel inspired. You'll stop when you feel tired. You'll commit when it feels good, and retreat when it feels hard. That pattern guarantees inconsistency. Success requires emotional maturity. The ability to act without needing to feel good first. The ability to stay calm when results lag behind effort. The ability to choose long-term vision over short-term emotion. This doesn't mean suppressing emotion. It means leading it. You acknowledge fear, but you don't obey it. You feel doubt, but you don't let it decide. You experience fatigue, but you don't surrender to it. You move anyway. And movement changes everything. Action creates clarity. Action builds confidence. Action transforms belief from theory into truth. Most people wait to feel ready. But readiness is a myth. You become ready by moving. You become confident by doing. You become capable by surviving what you once thought you couldn't. Every step forward, even a small one, rewires your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries. You start seeing yourself as someone who does. And that shift is everything. Because success is not about perfection. It's about reliability. Being the kind of person who shows up. Who follows through. Who keeps going when the novelty wears off. That's why routines matter. Not because they're exciting, but because they remove decision fatigue. They automate discipline. They protect your focus from distraction. Focus is rare now. And anything rare is valuable. The ability to sit with one task. To go deep instead of wide. To build instead of browse. That ability separates creators from consumers. Leaders from followers. Builders from spectators. Success requires deep work in a shallow world. And deep work requires saying no, to noise, to distraction, to meaningless urgency. Every yes costs you something. Time. Energy. Attention. If you don't guard those fiercely, they will be taken from you. That's another truth no one wants to accept. Not everything deserves your attention. Not everyone deserves your energy. Not every opportunity deserves your time. You must choose. And choosing means sacrifice. You sacrifice distraction for direction. You sacrifice comfort for growth. You sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term power. This isn't deprivation. It's alignment. When your actions align with your values, discipline stops feeling like punishment. It starts feeling like self-respect. And self-respect compounds. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to rely on yourself. You begin to build an unshakable foundation. That foundation is what allows you to adapt when the world changes. Because the world will change. Markets shift. Industries evolve. Plans collapse. The path you thought was right will sometimes disappear beneath your feet. And when that happens, rigid people break. But adaptable people rise. Adaptability is not weakness. It's intelligence in motion. It's the willingness to learn, to pivot, to evolve without losing your core values. The most successful people are not the strongest or the smartest, they are the most adaptable. They learn faster. They adjust quicker. They let go sooner. Ego clings. Growth releases. And learning never stops. The moment you think you've arrived, you've begun to decline. Success is rented, and the rent is due every day. You must earn it again and again through curiosity, humility, and relentless improvement. This is not exhausting when it's aligned with purpose. It's energizing. Purpose gives context to effort. It turns work into mission. It transforms struggle into meaning. When you know why you're doing something, you can endure almost anyhow. Purpose doesn't eliminate pain, but it gives pain direction. And direction is everything. Because without direction, effort is wasted. With direction, even small steps move you forward. And forward is the only place success lives. Not in excuses. Not in comparison. Not in wishing things were different. Success lives in ownership. In consistency. In belief backed by action. This is the truth about success no one wants to accept. It's not glamorous. It's not instant. It's not easy. But it's available. Available to those willing to take responsibility. Available to those willing to grow. Available to those willing to endure discomfort in service of a greater life. And once you accept that truth, not with resistance, but with resolve, you stop asking if success is possible. You start proving it is. And proving it is not a single moment. It's a lifestyle. A series of choices stacked so tightly together that quitting no longer feels like an option. You stop asking for guarantees. You stop asking for signs. You stop asking if it's going to work. Because the truth is, nothing works until you do. This is where many people get uncomfortable, because success demands faith without evidence. It demands effort before reward. It demands belief before results. And that violates how most people are conditioned to live. They were taught to wait for approval. To wait for certainty. To wait until it feels safe. But nothing meaningful has ever been built from safety. Every breakthrough in history came from someone willing to step into uncertainty and stay the longer than others were willing to tolerate. They didn't move because they were fearless. They moved because the cost of staying the same became greater than the cost of change. That moment, when staying small hurts more than growing, that's the moment everything shifts. And here's another truth most people avoid: success will isolate you before it introduces you to your true peers. There will be seasons where your growth makes others uncomfortable. Where your discipline exposes their excuses. Where your ambition is labeled arrogance. This is not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a sign you're evolving. Growth always creates distance. You will outgrow conversations. You will outgrow environments. You will outgrow versions of yourself. Clinging to what no longer fits will suffocate you. So you learn to walk alone when necessary. Not from ego, but from clarity. You understand that loneliness is sometimes the price of becoming. And that price is temporary. But the strength you build during those seasons is permanent. Because solitude teaches you who you are without noise. It teaches you to hear your own voice. It teaches you to trust your own judgment. And trust is everything. When you trust yourself, you stop seeking constant reassurance. You stop needing applause to keep going. You stop measuring progress through comparison. You measure it through alignment. Are you living in integrity with what you said you would do? Integrity is the backbone of success. Not public integrity. Private integrity. What you do when no one is watching. What you choose when it would be easy to cut corners. What standards you hold when you could justify lowering them. Every time you honor your word to yourself, you strengthen your identity. Every time you break it, you weaken it. This isn't about guilt, it's about truth. Your self-image is built on evidence. And the strongest confidence comes from knowing you can rely on yourself. This is why discipline eventually feels like freedom. Because you're no longer at the mercy of impulse. You're no longer dragged by mood. You're no longer controlled by distraction. You decide. And then you execute. That kind of control creates calm. Calm creates focus. Focus creates results. And results change how you see the world. You start noticing opportunities others overlook. You start thinking in longer timelines. You stop reacting emotionally to short-term setbacks. You realize that most problems are not emergencies, they're tests of patience. Patience is underrated. But patience is power. Patience allows you to wait without weakening. To endure without resenting. To build without rushing. The impatient chase noise. The patient build legacy. And legacy is not about fame. It's about impact. It's about becoming someone whose presence raises the standard. Someone whose work speaks when they don't. Someone whose life becomes evidence that growth is possible. That's when gratitude deepens. Not surface-level gratitude, but grounded gratitude. Gratitude for the struggle that shaped you. Gratitude for the resistance that strengthened you. Gratitude for the delays that refined you. Gratitude keeps you humble without making you small. Hungry without being desperate. Driven without being empty. It reminds you that the journey itself is the reward. And yet, you never stop pushing. Because contentment and complacency are not the same. You can appreciate how far you've come while refusing to stop. You can honor the present while building the future. That balance is mastery. Mastery is living in tension, between ambition and peace. Between effort and acceptance. Between becoming and being. Most people never find that balance. They swing between extremes. Burnout and boredom. Hustle and avoidance. But mastery is steady. Grounded. Intentional. It's choosing excellence as a way of life, not as a phase. And this is where success becomes inevitable. Not because life becomes easy, but because you become capable. Capable of handling pressure. Capable of adapting to change. Capable of learning from loss. Capable of leading yourself through uncertainty. At that point, success is no longer a question mark. It's a trajectory. You know setbacks will come, but you also know you'll respond. You know challenges will arise, but you trust your ability to navigate them. You know the road will test you, but you're no longer afraid of tests. Because you've accepted the truth. Success is not something you deserve. It's something you demonstrate readiness for. Every day. Through your actions. Through your discipline. Through your standards. Through your belief. And belief, when backed by a relentless action, becomes reality. That is the truth about success no one wants to accept. But once you do, nothing can stop you from becoming who you were meant to be.